podcast here in Johannesburg, where, of course, we are going to discuss everything to do with football, especially on the continent of Africa. It goes beyond the borders of this continent, of course. My name is Elasto Capoeja. Not alone to dissect what has been happening on our continent, all over the world. I'm with the gentlemen here that still battling to see whether they are going to Cameroon or not. I stand here as a qualifier of the AFCON 2021. Of course, it will be played in 2022 already. I have been going around trying to check and see which hotels I can book for the Warriors. Congratulations to the Zimbabwe Warriors. Let me take this opportunity to introduce to you Timothy Batabaire on my left, former Uganda international central defender, and the Super Eagles himself, Mr. Greg Itafia. Gentlemen, welcome to our podcast, where, of course, we look at what has been happening. And yes, the listeners and the viewers, looking forward to your expert opinions, views, arguments, and discussion. You promised me that it's going to be hot in this platform where we are. But let me start with you, Mr. Timothy Batabaire. You've seen how things have been. Yes, you might say, looking at your country, Uganda, they've qualified the last two AFCON, 2017, 2019. But now, they are on shaky ground. Not so convincing. That match away to Malawi is causing a lot of panic in that the camp of the Cranes.
There's no much panic in camp. It's more of a level-headed, keeping level-headed minds and heads, and getting to focus. COVID has thrown so many surprises in these qualifiers. We have got players who can perform without fans in the stadiums, and those players who are being affected because they always pushed on by the fans. So it will be very interesting that the intimidating factor of being a host nation is missing in play now because the fans are not present in the stadiums. But we have seen also some countries permitting the attendance of games in some stadiums. So we have a capable team. It's a matter of going. We need a draw. So we shall go out for a win and eventually set off a draw. But Malawi has been performing so well, but we have the ability, the safe hands in Onyango. We've got some young players who are coming on play. So for me, I'm not worried about that. I just believe that it will be another third consecutive way of qualifying for the AFCON.
Like Zimbabwe, they will qualify for the third time. That's what Timothy Batabaire is saying. To welcome you, Mr. Greg Itafia, just quickly, because we've got some issues that we need to deal with. We're going to go in detail as to how far the Super Eagles. How are you feeling ahead of the Super Eagles match? I know they are sitting comfortably in that L group with 8 points. You say the big boys normally play at the end. At the weekend. But how are you feeling?
No, Mr. Lasso, welcome. Very, very happy to have you back.
Thank you.
And it's a great weekend. I mean, starting from Wednesday, there was a lot of games, but the big boys normally play the weekend. You start with these youngsters, just to open the floor. So, but anyway, I mean, Super Eagles, they just arrived today in Benin Republic.
How did they travel?
No, they travel by boat. It's not far. It's about 30 minutes. So you just feel like, most of these guys can.
Are you feeling confident?
So confident, so confident. They make it hard for themselves because they could have wrapped up the group. With the game against Sierra Leone, they were leading. You remember they were leading 3-0, and they came back to draw that game 4-4. And they played 0-0 in Sierra Leone. So, but against Benin Republic, just direct rivalry because they have 7 points. Super Eagles have 8 points. So this match is one match they need to wrap up. If they win this match, they qualify. So I just think, and with the boys in camp, I think they can do it.
All right. Confident all around, coming from the Super Eagles, coming from the Crane side, that is Uganda. But gentlemen, there's a story that broke out yesterday, coming from Brazil, talking about this coaching merry-go-round, we call it. At times, we've come used to coaches being fired. There are clubs that are famous about that. I don't know which side of the fence you are. But Tim, the Brazilian clubs have agreed to say that we are allowing each club to at least have 2 coaches per season. Anything more than that is not allowed. You employ a coach at the beginning of the season, you only got 1 opportunity to replace that coach. Your thoughts on this historic rule to try and minimize, to cap this mass merry-go-round that we've seen when coaches just change. They are fired at the drop of a pin.
Elasto, it's very interesting that the protagonists, these are the bosses who are always firing the coaches, have agreed
Sure.
To rein on their act of firing coaches. It is very historical to the fact that for now, coaches can only be fired twice. And they can only coach twice in a season.
So it's not only the clubs being permitted, even the coaches themselves are affected as well.
Exactly. So if
they
you are
cannot coach more than 2 clubs. Is that so?
That's a fact. So it's a very historical, administrative plot by the Brazilians. But it is very interesting to see what the federation is going to do about the quality of coaches in the country. Because once you have the quality coaches, then you can, make such a ruling that permits all clubs to be having quality coaches to undertake football development in the country. So I think it's long overdue, and I think many federations should learn from it.
I want to come to that point now. In the context of Brazil, I mean, the Brazilians, we tend to emulate, to follow. They lead, and the rest of the world follows. This is not coming from FIFA. It's coming from Brazil. And of course, rule changes, whatever. They come from clubs. They come from associations. FIFA adopts it. They make it the rule for everyone. So your thoughts in terms of others now, in other environment, other setups, is it something that you feel could be adopted?
I think we in a lot of countries they will see how it goes in Brazil.
Yes.
From there, they will take it from there. For me personally, I think it's a good idea. First of all, you have a lot of coaches keeping their job, and it gives clubs that opportunity to search for a good coach. You can't just go and take a coach because you just want to take a coach. You need to do your research. Whether it's not fitting to your team, the players you need to sign, you need to give them that opportunity. But the disadvantage again, if your team is struggling, now you only have, because if you make the early change in terms of, because you have one more chance, so if you make the early change in terms of sacking that coach and getting another new coach,
why should you plan on sacking a coach?
Now, sometimes you may start the season, maybe 6-7 games, you're not doing well, you're bottom on the log, and you feel like, you need to make a change. And now you have only that one chance. And if you make that change, you stuck with it. So there's advantage and the disadvantage. For me, I think the advantage is more for the coaches to keep their job. It depends if the club is lucky enough to get a good coach that is doing very well. Because we know in the country like this certain region we are in South Africa, there's teams that they're quickly to sack coach, even though after you lose 1 game or 2 games, they want to sack you or they call you to the office. So I just feel like this Brazil, the lead now they're taking, I think is a good one. It's good for football, and I think if they can even put it into players too. When you sign a contract, you need to see your contract through, or if you want to sack a player, you have to wait for mid-season. Not some clubs in the northern part of this country. After 2 months, they can sign a player now. During pre-season, maybe the players like a striker doesn't score a lot of goals. They feel like no, let's terminate his contract. So I think the same way is going to the coaches. You need to go to players too.
It's like when Itafia is mentioning how coaches now could actually be changed. I mean, it's like a coach who's thinking about his substitutions now that you have to plan properly, that you've got certain moments that you are allowed to make that substitution. So it's the same with the coach now. You've got only one opportunity where you could call for that change and bring in another coach. But this can be difficult, Tim, looking at what we have seen here in South Africa, what we have seen, not only South Africa, everywhere, where when the results are not forthcoming, the person responsible or the person who normally is an scapegoat most of the time is the coach. And rightfully so or wrongfully so, I don't know whether the coach takes the portion of all what is wrong with that club. But I think it has been easy to just get rid of a coach. But this ruling that is coming now in Brazil, it makes the club to think like what Craig Itafi said about the kind of coach that they need to employ.
Due diligence will come into play, and also the...
But are we saying that it doesn't happen every time? Even now, under current conditions, are teams not doing enough of the due diligence? Because you are mentioning it now as if clubs are just hiring coaches. You'd think that in this day and age, that appointment of a coach, it has been a well-thought process.
It should be a well-thought process, but in many cases it's not. Where you find teams, administrators making, a knee-jerk decision just to hire a temporary coach. Now, if that coach outperforms, then they are stuck with that coach to try and maintain him. And they're waiting for the opportunity for results not to go his way, and then they can make that decision to fire him. So we have seen those decisions that are not always long-term. There are owners of clubs who want to buy trophies as opposed to building a system that can win trophies into the club. So this rule is very, very important. When it comes to firing coaches, it's cheaper to fire a coach than to fire players.
Okay. Fair enough.
And most team owners have always used that as a knee-jerk reaction, just to remind the players to try and jack up their performances so that they can save the team.
It depends on the coach. Depends on the coach you have in your team. If a coach come with a high profile, in terms of maybe he was coaching the national team before, and you need to get him to your team, you can't just sack him. In terms of how he comes to your team, you maybe have a big contract in terms of maybe have a 5 years contract, maybe have a 3 years contract, and all of a sudden you think he's the one to take your team forward, and all of a sudden things are not going his way, and for you to sack him, you need to pay him off because it happens to some coaches.
But that should not be a problem, because at the end of the day, once you make a decision to sack the coach, you know the contract that you signed with him, so you must be well prepared to take care of that.
Okay, gentlemen. Now, it hasn't been always bad to fire a coach in certain clubs, because certain clubs can argue that we have sacked, we have changed, we have hired as many coaches as we could possibly, but we still are playing in the top division. So who are we to try to dictate to them? What is this rule trying to? Is it trying to protect the coaches? And again, if you talk about the coaches now, because every team is most likely going to have 2 coaches per season. And what does it say about even other coaches that want to come in? Because there are also other coaches that are on the sidelines that also would want to come in because a certain team is not doing so well. So now if a club can only employ 2 coaches, I mean, the chances of all these coaches that we are taking to do courses for them to get also jobs is also very
That's
limited.
why I think Brazil, they give the go-ahead for that, but at the same time, they need to put a standard. They need to put a standard. I know in the CAF Champions League, you need to have an A license for you to sit on the bench. So I don't know who's standard in Brazil, but if we take example with the CAF one, you can say in your league, you need to have certificate in terms of for you to coach. Qualification for you to coach. But you need to be in the highest standard. Apart from that, is protecting the coaches, because sometimes most of the teams, they fire coaches unnecessary.
I would love to hear this.
Because there's teams.
What is that? Can you
Okay,
can you elaborate more
there's
on saying that a club fires a coach unnecessarily?
A team can be depends on the ambition of the team.
Okay.
A team is in the 9th position or maybe in the 12th position. They're not in the relegation zone, but they are getting there. Maybe they're not winning games. Maybe they are drawing games. Maybe they win one, they lose 2 or 3. They feel like, the coach is not consistent. Maybe they're in the cup games. Maybe they have 2 cup games in the season and they're out of that cup games and they lose 1 or 2 games in the league. But they're still in a good position. They say, okay, no, the way we are playing, we don't like it. Because, when management want to fire a coach, they bring a lot of excuse. They say, the style of play, this coach is playing, we don't like it. But result matters a lot. If you're getting result, no team, no club owner will sack you.
I think for me, Tim, I don't know if you can agree with me. This is not. There's some gray areas in such a rule. But now, what if it's a case where this Association of Brazil says, just looking at how we can control or manage this hiring and firing of coaches, you look at the situation of saying, can we have at the beginning of the season every club give us a mandate for the coach? Now we've got a mandate. Everyone submits their mandates.
Yeah.
And now, based on that mandate, it's like a contract. You sign a contract as a player between yourself and the club.
Yeah.
That contract is with the association. And everyone has to honor that contract, isn't it? So why can't coaches and the clubs sign a performance, a mandate, where now, before you fire that coach, we can revisit that mandate. And now you can give us grounds why you want to fire this coach. So without mandates, it will be difficult, because I think it's a bit unfair at times to just limit the coaches to 2, because things can happen during the season. Because even that second, I want to be that second coach, because I'm not going to be fired again. I don't want to be the first. I want to be the second one. So I'm just saying that mandates for me maybe can be better in terms of how to assess how the coach has done, because there must be something. There must be the goals that have been set by the club, agreed by both parties. If this coach does not meet those goals, then we can argue and say that is why we released or dismissed our coach.
I think that is quite a gray area, because now you're trying to get into the administrative structures of the club. You are telling them what to do. Firing a player or a coach comes from within. It may not be necessarily performance based. It may be, he may have come, to coach the players when he's drunk, something like that. So we are having an area. For me, I think the law is fair, because when you hire a coach, you don't expect to fire him. That's the bottom line. When I hire you, I expect you to perform to our expectations. The only time I can fire you is that you are not getting to that level of expectation. So I should not accommodate why you should not be fired. What I'm interested in is that the law makes sure that whatever decision you make to hire a coach, that coach is there to stay and perform to the expectations of the management.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for your views on this coaching debacle. Hopefully we can hear from you who's listening or watching. You can also contact us and just let us know your thoughts on this new rule, historic rule, of course, coming from Brazil. But now we shift our attention to what has been happening on the African continent. We saw a lot of qualifiers in terms of that 2021 AFCON, that is for Cameroon, of course, going to be played next year, which is 2022, because it was postponed due to the COVID. I'll start with you, Greg Itafia. We are going to go through all the groups, starting from Group A. We can see there, high up there, it's Guinea really leading that group. Are things done and dusted as far as Group A is concerned? Yes, there's some issues there regarding Chad in terms of their suspension by CAF. But if you look at position 1 and 2, would you say that the 2 countries that are supposed to go to Cameroon are confirmed in your opinion?
No, in my opinion, Group A is already done and dusted. Last there's no argument in that group. Mali, you can see why I always talk about, in terms of the CHAN tournament. I always speak about the CHAN tournament.
Mr. Chan.
Mali you see the Mali team, when the you know, in France they're having a rules that if you go away to go play in your national team, when you come back, you're gonna stay for 14 days, 10 days
isolation.
So most of the teams they're not ready to take that risk. Mali team that's qualified now with 13 points. Okay, the game against Chad was 3 goals and 3 points to make them qualify, but they're already ahead. So now they use that home base players. Most of the home base players that played that final against Morocco. So they invited them. They say, fine, you guys can stay. We are covered. So that is my always my opinion in terms of that CHAN tournament. It helps it helps a lot of teams in this group in this period with the COVID situation that you cannot invite your foreign based players. Now if you have a strong league, a local strong league, it will definitely help you.
But not CHAN.
So
thank you for correcting yourself.
So it is a CHAN tournament.
It is the league.
But
it's the local league.
But in a CHAN tournament, who are the players playing in that?
They come from the local league.
So you understand.
All right. So
Mali done and dusted. They have 13 points. A lot of goals there.
Yes.
Guinea there 11 points. But they still need to play Namibia. So Namibia is playing at home. So but Namibia, for now, I think they will just wait for the next AFCON. So they will wait for the next AFCON. They have done very well, to participate in this tournament. But they need to just wait for the next AFCON. They can honor the match, which is very important for them.
By law.
They can just make sure they get the match fitness. But Guinea and Mali. Mali number 1, Guinea number 2. Done and dusted there.
Group A. Tim, just to wrap it up, Group A. Looking at what has happened to Chad, your comments on that, where Chad could not, complete the qualifiers, and again, this is something that, you don't want to see it happen in this way, because now you are just bringing the whole of Group A into disrepute, honestly, where they have to be walkovers and all those kind of things. So something that, of course, we don't want to see in our African football. But your thoughts on, Chad not actually completing the qualifiers?
I think this should not be happening in this day and age. I think it's very unfortunate that it did happen, and I also like to commend CAF for making a very decisive, decision to make sure that Chad is out and that group doesn't, spill over into a dispute. And I think it's going to go a long way in how CAF is going to go into trying to facilitate these FAs when it comes to financial incentives, and so that we can mitigate some of those factors. Yes, we have the political interference in most of these FAs, because the fact that FAs are controlling a huge number of funds, the governments are interested to have that political control, the cloud of having the political influence over the citizens. So I think that interference is causing havoc, so that we need to create harmony and enforce it, because we are finding the fact that most FA presidents are being, they are inclining towards government, and the decisions they are making, they are political instead of football. In Chad, it happened that way, and shouldn't be happening in this day.
Shouldn't be happening, and at times we can even call for a harshest sentence. But again, if you look at it, we are also killing football, because it doesn't affect the politicians. It only affects us footballers. So it's a tricky one. But now moving to Group B, Timothy, Burkina Faso. You spoke about Uganda already, where finding themselves in a panic mood. Although you laid off those kind of concerns, you said, look, you feel that going to Malawi, they should be fine. Uganda, in terms of coming up and qualifying for their third successive. But there's a Burkina Faso always there, really qualifying, and that is what sometimes you don't see in some of these countries, where this regular occurrence and the ease at which some of these countries just qualify for the Nations Cup. And there's Burkina Faso. But again, you look at Malawi as well, the last match now, much improved Malawi, where they have to play against your country, with a chance really to qualify for AFCON.
Look, Malawi did favors to themselves by beating Southern Sudan. Remember, these are the Rocky team, Southern Sudan coming,
Yes.
and they picked 3 important points from Uganda Cranes. And I think that was very detrimental. Actually, it cost the coach his job at this moment in time as we speak. He was put aside to try and observe, and a local coach took over, who has also ended up making a draw with Burkina Faso, which, in my personal opinion, you can't make such decisions. When the coach has already, taken over the qualification, you are remaining with 2 games to go. I think it was suicidal to try and make that decision. But again, it is what it is at this moment in time. Sudan picking 3 points, the only points they have were against Uganda Cranes. And now you go to play Burkina Faso in Kampala, and then you pick a draw against Burkina Faso. That's a good result, given the fact that you're playing against Burkina Faso. So now you fancy your chances that you are going to play Malawi. Malawi did themselves a favor beating Southern Sudan, who are the whipping boys in this case. They get 3 points. But remember, Malawi has to make sure that they win. I need a draw. So I need to go out to win the game, and eventually, worst case scenario is a draw. So in that case scenario, I'm confident that I can qualify again.
Greg Itafia, you said that off air before we started this podcast, you said we might need to expand this tournament to 48 teams. You don't seem to think that Uganda can beat or draw against Malawi. If you look at, their run in these qualifiers, it has been uncharacteristic of Uganda, Greg Itafia. We've seen them really performing very well the last 2 editions. Very impressive. Even there, the tournament, they've been one of the teams that that they can easily get out of their groups, go to the next stage. But this campaign, it has been different.
It has been different, because they have a lot of injuries in their camp. Remember, Zambia just came in now for quite a long time when the preliminaries was going on in terms of the qualifiers. He wasn't there, So, but now he's back. He's fit. He's playing regularly with Amazulu. You have Piri from Baroka, who is doing very well.
So you're talking about Malawi.
Malawi,
that they've got a team,
capable
of causing an upset.
Injury was a little bit played part in terms of the qualifiers, So you have Mango, which he was a top scorer in the PSL last season, and he's coming back.
So
from
these
injury.
are all players that Uganda at the moment.
Uganda
are having sleepless nights.
Uganda must just forget. No, they're supposed to win. They're supposed to win against Burkina Faso at home. They got a draw. I give them credit for that because you know why? They have Dennis Oyango, 11 clean sheet in the PSL. He's doing very well with Sundowns. And his one is their captain, trying to motivate the boys. But going to Malawi and playing against the top scorer of last season in the PSL,
against the best goalkeeper.
I think it's going to be a mountain to climb.
I'm
giving this one to Malawi and Burkina Faso. Uganda, they just watch from TV when the big boys are playing the main tournament in Kenya.
Right, there you go. Greg Itafia doesn't feel that there's any chance of the Uganda Cranes, especially looking at this array of stars that he just mentioned. But of course, Uganda as well, having the top, arguably the best goalkeeper on the continent. Greg Itafia is banking on him. That was Group B. Now Group C. Yeah, we witnessed a team where South Africa at home playing against Ghana. I'm not sure whether you were surprised with that result. Was it a true reflection of the game? Could Bafana have done more? Or maybe, yes, it is a result that now sets them up to play against, you might say, a weaker Sudan that is playing at home, that also have to collect maximum points. So everything to play for, going down to the wire. But Ghana, we might say, good as done. They've qualified, for AFCON. We don't see them losing by an avalanche of goals against bottom of the table, Sao Tome. Your thoughts on the match, Bafana versus Ghana, and also the prospects of South Africa going to Sudan?
Ghana and South Africa went into this game knowing that a draw is very important for both. And that's how they started out the game. Yes, it was very disappointing. You could feel that in the first round, South Africa had an upper hand. They could put many passes around, and they missed so many chances that normally don't come by. And having missed those chances, it was surprising that they went a goal down, and they were very lucky that they were managed to equalize immediately. But you could see the spirit in the Ghanaian team. If you look at the midfield, the way they burst around the midfield, getting the ball, spreading it wide, and where it mattered most, that's when they were attacking. For I think South Africa, there are those moments. I felt that they only reacted after conceding the goal. That's when they realized that it's a do or die, and immediately they managed to score that equalizer. Now, going to Sudan, they are performing above self, and they are now fancying their chances of qualifying. They're well-balanced team, but in Sudan, having played in Sudan, they love good football. So without even the fans, but with the fans, a team that plays well, the home fans turn to support the visiting team. It has been their culture. So for me, I think South Africa needs to dig deep. They need to try and understand that it's going to be very hot. So they need to play the conditions well, and when it matters most, they pounce to make sure that they beat Sudan, or even draw will be very crucial for them.
Greg Itafia, it's Bafana side that you might say, yes, against the much fancied Black Stars.
Yeah.
It's a point. It's acceptable. But I think this one of Sudan, would you say now, go there and get that point, box cleverly, tactically, make sure that you make things difficult, stay tight, stay compact? Would you advocate for such kind of a game, or go out there
Mr.
and
Lasso,
try to get maximum points?
It could have been easier. South Africa beating Ghana in South Africa,
Okay.
The first 20 minutes, it was an exciting game, and the coach came with a lot of surprise, playing Clancy in the left wing. Nobody expected that. We all thinking he's going to play left back. They using the width. They will use the width very well. There's a lot of shot on target. The two chances that came to my mind that I thought South Africa could have wrapped up is the one for Zani and the one for Morena. I think the game was 0-0 that time. If they scored that, it's going to force the Ghanaians to come. Remember, this Ghanaian team is a team that doesn't have, a lot of their stars. We're talking about Party, the Arsenal one. You have their Ayew brothers. So this opportunity for them, you can never have a weaker Ghanaian team than this team. But the good part.
What do you mean weaker Ghanaian?
When I talk about in terms of the professional, in terms of the foreign-based players they have, that could have come to this game.
In South Africa?
Yeah, South Africa, the
also,
same. But you see, if your local league is very strong, you are covered. You see, that's why you see South Africa having 10 points, Ghana having 10 points, and Sudan, Sudan having 9 points. It shows that they are doing well in their local league. But going to Sudan is going to be very difficult. We are going back now with our calculator in terms of the South African team now. Remember when they qualified the last edition against Libya. Nobody expected them to beat Libya, but they did that. South African, I feel most of the time when their back is on the wall, they always come out fighting. Okay. And they were very lucky they have a player like Pesitao. But for me, the most disappointing thing on that day, it was Zwane. We all expected him to do very well. Player of the season, doing win the Champions League. On that game, I don't think he brought his A game there. So, but things can change. They are there now in Sudan. I just feel getting the point is possible. But they need to be clever enough. As you say, they need to go to get a win. If they sit to get a point, they might lose the game. They need to score first against Sudan. But at the end of the day, this group is open. Ghana is already qualified because South Tome, Ghana will give them, if not 6 or 7. So it's just between South Africa and South Sudan. And going to Sudan, as Tim alluded to, is very tough there. There is very tough.
Very tough indeed, especially a Sudanese team that also beat the Black Stars in their own backyard as well. Group D, gentlemen, we know that the Perry, Aubameyang-led Gabon leads there. They've been in a very uncompromising mood, disappointing DR Congo. Congo qualified, of course, for the last AFCON 2019. They've been very disappointing this time around, not making it. But Gabon, impressive, Timothy Badabaire.
It has been a very interesting group. Actually, at this moment, I would like to say congrats to Gambia qualifying for the first time.
Yes, yes. We've got debutants there.
Qualifying for their, maiden AFCON.
Gambia.
Kudos to them. You can even understand one of the coaches of Sundowns played a huge role into that fitness setup of that technical team. So we need to applaud that team for performing well. But you can start wondering what is happening to DRC Congo. Even at club level, they are really battling. And once you don't have that...
That's what we're talking about, the Chan tournament.
No, it's not the Chan.
That's what we're talking about, the local league.
We're talking about...
AS Vita is struggling. TP Mozambique is struggling. It can show, because you remember those days with DRC. You always, the local league is very strong.
Yes.
You can see the difference.
We are saying, if every country has got a strong league, there's no need for Chan.
There's a need for Chan, because that you to get international experience, you need to go and play that tournament. So when you go to play that tournament, it can show. Mali, you see, Morocco is don't struggle there. They're just one way. But you can see other countries, Angola too. They didn't have a strong league now. You can see with DRC too. But if you see Gambia is a surprise to us. But Aubameyang, for me, Aubameyang was a superstar this weekend. I just feel like, for him to create the first goal and score. And I think 3-0 for them, done and dusted. I just feel Aubameyang, when you need players to come and show up, Aubameyang raised his hands up and he put Gabon where they're supposed to be. And they have a game in hand. They have one game more, but already qualified.
No, he led by example, and it has already sorted out. It's a rubber stamp game, just the last game to honor the fixture.
Definitely. Group D, doing so well is Gabon. Gambia qualifying for the very, very first time. I think, it's great. I think there's also Comoros. We're going to talk about them that have also qualified for the very first time. We saw that in 2019, the likes of Madagascar qualifying for the very first time as well. The likes of Mauritania last time as well qualifying. So the same has happened as far as those two countries are concerned. Group E, not much can be said about Morocco. If you look at them leading that Group E, these are countries that, you know that they're going to qualify without breaking a sweat. It's always about who is going to come second in that group. Yes, the likes of Burundi. You might say Group E, kind of an easy group as far as Morocco is concerned. The opponents there, Burundi, Central Africa Republic. But yes, Mauritania knocking on the door of the Greg Itafia to try to make sure that, they finish also second in the group. Burundi not completely out of it. Yeah,
not completely out of it, but Mauritania will do the same a favor now if this night they can get a win against Morocco. Because Burundi already drew against Central Africa 2-2, and which now they're left with one game to go. Morocco already have 10 points. So if Mauritania can win and go to 8 points, it's game over.
Game over. They just need to win.
So, but I feel this group, it shows again with the Chan tournament. Who was the champion of the Chan tournament? Morocco. How many points are they leading here? 5 points with 2 games in hand. So you can see they don't need to call the overseas.
Right. We promise our
the Chan tournament is very important.
That one of these time we are going to
is very important.
It's the league. We promise that our listeners, our viewers, that we are going to dedicate a full show and talk about the Chan tournament. And Greg Itafia will be sitting where I'm seated.
Thank you very much. But credit to Morocco. I mean, they have done very well. A lot of goals. Even the Chan tournament, the top striker there was the highest goal scorer, player of the tournament. So for me, this group is a very exciting group in terms of the three countries that are remaining. But they have 5 points. They have five points. Apart from Central Africa, have 4 points because they have a 1 point today. So I think this group, the second position should go either of Burundi or Mauritania. But my money is on Mauritania. Yeah,
it will be. Of course, they are having matters in their own hands to their destiny. They can control their destiny, other than Burundi now, who already played. It is for Mauritania to make sure that they win their game and qualify again for AFCON 2020. They were there in 2019. Now moving to Group F, where the hosts are. That is the indomitable lions.
Yes.
Cameroon, Rwanda. Wow. It will be great to see these East African countries. Like, we saw Kenya qualify in 2019 after a very, very long time.
Yeah.
There's Rwanda. We are talking about Burundi. Now Kenya, of course, go out of it. So they'll be banking on the likes of Rwanda, that is East Africa, the likes of Burundi, to try to sneak in there so that there is representation as far as East Africa is concerned. How are we seeing the chances, Timothy, when you talk about Rwanda, looking at them? I think they won over the weekend, beating Mozambique.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That was by a 1-0 beating, young man scoring that solitary goal.
Yes, so
I think
Rwanda, looking like they can finish on that second position.
They did raise their hand, and at this moment in time, they believe that they can qualify. Yes, you have got Cameroon, that is a host nation, that is, is just maybe using this as a practice, platform. But for me, Rwanda is really performing well. Cape Verde really, they have struggled from the time they managed to make that surprise, qualification on the AFCON.
We haven't seen the same.
They have not seen the same Cape Verde team coming back on board. But for me, I'm very impressed by this Rwandan team that, the government has invested so much into this Rwandan team. Remember, initially they were having so many of neutralized nationals. They could get players maybe from Congo, from Uganda, and neutralize them to play for Rwanda. And the government came up and said, no, we want the indigenous Rwandese. So it has taken them time to groom this team, and now it's taking shape. They are believing that they can qualify, and I wish them the best.
Rwanda, yes, it will be exciting to see the likes of Rwanda qualifying for AFCON. Really, there's some good things happening in that country. Even their leagues, really, coming up, trying to catch up. You see them in the Confederations Cups. They are there about trying to make sure they sneak in the group stages. Moving on, gentlemen, to Group G, where how many times? 7 times winners. Egypt, they're securing their qualification. I'll bet a 1-0 draw against the Harambee Stars. Comoros, we mentioned them for the very first time, also making sure that they finish second in Group G. Maybe they might eclipse Egypt if they win their last game where they're going to play. Yes, but nothing for Togo, nothing for Kenya. But gentlemen, I think for this group, Krigitafia, we should congratulate Comoros.
No, Comoros, we were very happy for them for the first time. It's so exciting, when you have, when they give this opportunity for 24 teams to qualify, you expect unknown countries to come. And Comoros have raised their hands up, and they're there. You expect Egypt always to be, on top of this group. But disappointing part for me is the Kenyans. The Kenyan side, with a lot of they here and there, they play here, they play. You see, like Goma here in the Champions League. They're doing very well. So you expect, the home boys, should be stronger to help in terms of make them to qualify. But at this point in time, you have 4 points out of 5 games. I think it's just very disappointing. Don't talk about Togo, because I don't think they can play without Adebayo for a very long time now. They need to get new Adebayo, because since Adebayo not playing for the national team, they haven't gone any far again. But congratulations to Egypt and Comoros. I think Comoros is the surprising package in that group, and I'm so happy for them. We need to see what they're going to do in the main tournament.
Tim, talking about Kenya, qualified 2019 after a lengthy absence. Just talking about the administration, the Nick Mwenda-led administration running football in Kenya. Your thoughts, because at the moment, out of 5 games, I'm seeing that column of the wins, 0 wins. Hugely disappointing. Yes, a local coach at the helm, but this inconsistent. They qualified last time around, but I think this has been disastrous, this campaign.
Remember, when it comes to Kenya, they had the elections and they had their fights. Whenever you have individuals, egoistic individuals trying to take control of the administration of football, that's what is going to happen. It's going to transit through onto the league. And that's what we have seen with Kenya. So there has been that scramble and partition. The federation wants to run the league. against the wishes of the clubs. So that infighting now is affecting the national team. Now, you get a coach who makes a decision to let out some of the players, like the Victor Wanyamas, and some of these professional players. When you have a country like Kenya, you should treasure your professional players. They don't come so many. So these These are your best.
No,
players.
team. If they're not there, if they're not available, we get other players to do the job.
No. The players are available, but you make a decision not to call them. I can give you an example. When we were starting out, they said, Timothy, you won't start playing because you don't have the experience. Now you have got the experience. You're saying you are too old. So in between, when are you going to use the experience? Experience is not sold in any shop.
But remember the last time they qualified. The last time they qualified.
Now we're talking about a player.
Manyama didn't play 2 games.
No,
and they won those games.
But he was in camp, right?
Yeah,
exactly. What does that experience call for? You have got Victor Wanyama in camp. There is that extra leadership that is bringing into camp, that stability to hold the team. So for me, don't break the spine, because this has been the core of the team for the qualification. Don't break it when you're only having one crucial game to go. If you miss beating the team like Comoros, actually this group teaches us that you should not underestimate teams. Games are won after 90 minutes, not before. Comoros, they started participating in the AFCON in 2006. And today in 2021, the fruits of that length of preparation is for everybody to see. So for me, administratively, that is very crucial. We have seen it in Madagascar and the like. It's very important to make sure that administration comes key. And for me, Kenya needs to go back on the drawing board. Look at the administration. They need to harmonize their personal egos for the good of football.
For the good of football. Disappointing on Kenya. It's a group that they could have easily become second in that group, to have really surrendered that second spot, and actually not even surrendered because they didn't win even a single game. Moving to Group H. I think I was just waiting for this moment to talk about this Group H, because highly impressed, pleased with the Warriors. And I think that is one thing, Greg Itafia, that I've always mentioned, that you need to get used to qualifying. 3 times in a row, the Warriors. They are becoming, slowly but surely, one of the forces in Southern Africa, in the Kosovo region. They've always been. But I think this really places them high up there among some of these middle countries that want to close the gap with the likes of Ghana, Egypt, Ivory Coast. But I think we're on the right track.
Zimbabwe have always produced great players. Don't forget the likes of, let me put Elasto there.
I don't know if you could speak about
Peter
me.
Ndlovu, Adam Ndlovu, Ngomashi. They have you always have quality players from
the core of the PSL.
You see the strong local league. So you have Zimbabwe always produce great players. I'm not surprised, and I can't to pronounce that Chidokwe, the guy that scored the first goal from Simba. They just invited him now. That was his first appearance. You can see Bilal is injured, but lead by Mosona, the captain of that day. I'm just so happy for them. With everything around them, they forget about everything. In terms of the preparation, in terms of everything around, before they go to this game. But they went there and soldier on and win this game. Zimbabwe is one country that a lot of great players have come out from. You talk about the Benjamins. They have done so well in terms of football in the southern region. They have ruled in terms of the Kosafa. They have done so well. So for me, I just feel it's well deserved for them to be. It's not a fluke the last time they qualify. You expect Algeria number 1 in the ranking to qualify. But now you're looking for number 2. The big disappointment is Zambia. Zambia, you expected them now, for this second AFCON, giving it a chance, and person like Micho is there, which is, he has that, he has that ability in terms of coaching wise to bring out the best players and best performance from the players they have there. You remember he have done it at Pirates, with a club side, but it couldn't work out against Algeria. they went down, 2-0 before they start recovering. You have Molenga there playing for Amazulu. He has 7 assists in terms of in the club football. He's one of the best players playing right now in Zambia in the national team. He did his best, but for them to draw that game 3-3, that was their point. That was the game for them to win, for them to give themselves a chance. But with 4 points now and Zimbabwe winning against Botswana in Botswana, I mean, I'm so happy for Zimbabwe.
Tim, talking about Zambia, Itafi has just touched a bit on the form of Zambia as far as Nations Cup is concerned, the AFCON. When was the last time we saw this country in the AFCON? 2017, they were not there. 2019, they were not there. So the last should have been 2015 that they qualified. I mean, these are former champions,
they failed
by the way.
to defend their title.
These are former
champions. They won in
champions.
2012.
They brought in Mitchell, and I think for that reason alone, that they should qualify. They surrendered that last time in 2019. I remember playing against Namibia in the last match. They could not win that game, giving Namibia the passage to the 2019 AFCON. What is happening in Zambia? I think if you talk about talent, equally as good as Zimbabwe as well. They've got some great players, that is Zambia. But at the moment, they have been also firing blanks.
I think at this moment in time, Zambia, they need to go back on the drawing board. What is overbearing on their shoulders is the fact of the fact that they are Chipolopolo. The history of the name is being very heavy for the players. I think they need to understand at this moment in time that they have to go through a rebuilding process. Get your league functioning, very strong, vibrant, and get all your players. Get as many players as you can find to send them to Europe. That has been the core of Zambia.
But they've got the likes of Taka, they've got the likes of
few,
Mwepu.
yes,
they've got really good players that are playing Champions League.
Yeah, they have got good players. There's no doubt about it. But they are few. There are few of them compared to how Chipolopolo was. Remember, when we had that air disaster, they were able to assemble an equally strong team that went into the final.
And that was a local based.
And that's local based. So what is important is get the league functioning, vibrant. It will give you the base. Sort out your administrative hierarchy, your problems in club levels administratively. Make sure that the development structures are functioning. Go back on the drawing board and rebuild to make sure that you come back to where you belong. Disappointed
in Chipolopolo. Really one of the talented countries when it comes to football. They showed that when they won this competition that we're talking about, but they've been absent for a very long time right now. And I'm not sure what the problem would be, whether administratively, whether the players, whether they're just struggling to find that winning combination that can take them back to where they belong. We are moving. We are talking about AFCON qualifiers. We saw a lot of them coming to the end of the games, last round of matches, where those 24 teams, 13 have already qualified. So yes, trying to see that the other remainder of those places to be filled in. Cameroon, of course, being the host. And yes, all the big guns, the powerhouses. No surprises at the moment, of course. We just mentioned the two debutants, that is Comoros and Gambia, that also are going to play in that tournament for the very first time. Group I, there's a Senegal side, 100% expected. They are the runners-up, lost to Algeria in 2019. They did the business, and there they are. We might expect, I think, if you talk about Senegal, you might say that, in terms of them winning the crown, maybe you might say they've underperformed. Looking at the quality sides over the years that they've been able to field.
I think for me, if you look around Europe now, Senegalese players,
look at their players.
They are the one, performing week in, week out, playing for bigger teams. We're talking about Napoli, we're talking about Liverpool, go to French league, they're there. You expect them. You have Mendes, the goalkeeper, playing for Chelsea. So you expect them always, to qualify. But going to the main tournament, that's where, the problem.
We expect them to win.
But when you go to the main tournament with the mindset that, okay, we dare, we qualify easily in the group and go to the main tournament, or it's going to be easy. That's where other teams surprise you, But the last time, playing the finals, I think they done well. But this time we expecting them to go to this tournament at least to win it, again, for a very long time, when they qualify for the World Cup, they are the one that, opened the way for a lot of African, country in the World Cup, So you expect them to do well in the AFCON. And this one, I think is their best chance, because if you check in Europe, their players, they weren't playing regularly and they are doing very well. But for me, the biggest match will be Congo against Guinea-Bissau, because today, we have the early match that Guinea-Bissau beat
Eswatini.
They won 3-1. So giving themselves chance. Now they have 6 points. So now Congo versus Guinea-Bissau, that's going to be decided, because you have Congo that have 7 points. They're going to play against Senegal. You know what's going to happen there. Senegal will be having 15 points. So the deciding match is going to be between the two of them. So for me, I just think, with a lot of good players Guinea-Bissau have, and they are doing very well in the French league, I think Guinea-Bissau will take this one. Are you just looking for the second position? Senegal is have already qualified. I think this one, Senegal will go with Guinea-Bissau.
Senegal and Guinea-Bissau is the call of Greg Itafia. Team, anything to say regarding the chances of the likes of Congo, who you might say, compared to their neighbors, DR Congo, seems as if they've done reasonably well. But yes, now they've got that mountain to climb against Guinea-Bissau.
Look, it's in this moment in time, you need to take your game. But being Senegal, they are very professional. They'll want to win all their games.
Yes.
Winning is a habit, and they have adopted that. They have inculcated that. So there is no way Cisse is going to set up a team that is going to fail in those results.
Yes.
So for me, it's between Congo and Guinea-Bissau to try and make sure that they join Senegal in that group.
All right, that was Group I, where Senegal is J. Group J, the next one that we're talking about, looking at Tunisia topping that group. Equatorial Guinea sitting there on second position. Seems again that settled this.
No, this group is already settled. Great. Tunisia have already won the group. So second is Equatorial Guinea. Tanzania and Libya, Tanzania, we expect them to do well.
Another East African country.
Yeah, another East African country. And if you consider the Champions League this season, but with a big comma there.
Okay.
With how they are winning their games, because most of the teams that play the Champions League coming to play in Tanzania, it's either 8 players is out or the ref is out. So you can see it reflects now into the AFCON now. There's no chance you can do that. But I blame CAF for that situation. CAF must do the testing themselves. Don't allow the country to do the testing. So, but you can see there's a big difference there. Yes. But Guinea-Bissau and Tunisia already qualify in this group.
Okay. A bit disappointed as well, Timothy, with Tanzania, because they also qualified for the last AFCON in 2019. So
and with one coach from that side of the Nigeria.
There was a Nigerian coach. There maybe the reason why
after then there's there must be a touch of Nigeria there to qualify.
They sacked the coach, but again that continuity we bemoaned it when we spoke about. Kenya, Tanzania, all these countries that would have qualified, after a long period of time. There was Tanzania and as well Kenya, but this time around, way off the mark. That is Tanzania.
Look, they had to keep Amnike, but there's that entitlement where you think the administration has performed wonders, and they discuss the technical team, they discuss the players. That's lack of long-term planning. Yeah, you have not qualified for such a long time, and here comes a coach is able to have that dismantling of the status quo, build a technical team, and you qualify. Then you should build on that. Don't get so excited to fire the coach, because in this case it might have been a clash of egos, where the coach is demanding that to progress further, we need this and this. And the FA is saying, no, you think now you are big, we're the one who facilitated to qualify. So I think that's what is affecting Tanzania. And it's very disappointing that, yes, once again, this East African team is not going back. But when you are paired against Tunisia, the likes of Equatorial Guinea, your chances are less. You must win your home games. And once they started losing their home games, then they were out of the picture.
Right. Libya as well in that group. Disappointing Libya.
They can applaud themselves that finally they can host a home game in
their
motherland.
But now it seems as if they do well when they're playing home away from home. We move on to Group K. So many groups. It's an expanded AFCON that we're talking about. Good to see that most of the teams, are taking advantage of this expanded 24 nations team. That is the tournament, of course, being played in Cameroon. Group K sees Ethiopia ahead of Ivory Coast. I mean, Ethiopia beating Madagascar 4-0. Madagascar also qualifying for the very first time in 2019. But there's Ethiopia wanting to come back. And I think Ethiopia, if you look at their league as well, you are mentioning the issue of the league. There are some improvements there as well. If you look at how their league is marketed now, televised, we see them every time, week in and week out. But this time around, they want to qualify.
No, just they're looking very strong to qualify. You can see, I mean, against Madagascar, you can see, scoring goals, not conceding. That's the most important thing as a country, But okay, we still expect Ivory Coast to play against Niger, and because they already played 4, they're going to play against Niger. From there, if they win that game, you expect Ivory Coast to win, to get to be on 10 points. But I mean, for me, this group is done. If Ivory Coast win against Niger, you have an Ethiopia and Ivory Coast qualify. But Madagascar is going to be a miracle. It's going to be a miracle because they already played 5 games. So they're only going to end in 8 points. So
10. They can end 10.
They can end 10.
Madagascar.
On 7, sorry, they can end 10.
Yeah, they can end 10.
So if they win, but Ethiopia give themselves a good chance now. But we expect Ivory Coast to top this group. But it's going to be an interesting one to see.
Oh, it will be interesting to see, definitely. But your thoughts on this Côte d'Ivoire, this Ivory Coast team, Timothy, where, look, they haven't been so dominant, where, really, you expect them to just go past teams and so forth. Sometimes they blow hot and cold. We're not seeing, the same like your Ghana, your Egypt. They're on 7 points after 4 games. It's not what we expect of this team.
We have only a few teams that are very consistent in that regard. We have got Egypt that is going for the 25th, AFCON appearance. And then we have got Ghana going for the 23rd. Those are the consistent teams we're talking about now. What is happening with Ivory Coast, we're having a generational transition that is not happening as expected. You have got the likes of Didier Drogba, Yaya Toure, Jovino's going out of that squad. But that transition to get through those youngsters to take over was not done so well. That explains why they are having this inconsistency. But again, you give them credit for the fact that they still have a run to qualify for this AFCON. And I think as they continue performing well, given even their political instability in their country, I think they are performing, above self.
Okay, we do expect more from Ivory Coast. Looking at the stars as well, it's a star-studded side. Every time we know some of their top players doing duty in some of the best teams around Europe. Yes, we are almost about to finish now the round of groups. And he says that last group is...
You save the best for the last.
Is reserved for
you save the best
super
for the last.
of the supers. You mentioned earlier in the show when I was just trying to get your thoughts on the Super Eagles. You mentioned the disappointment that you witnessed when they played against Sierra Leone. Again, they are expected. They're still comfortable. The Super Eagles. You might say the group as well. Maybe it wasn't so much of a very tough group, although these days in football, 11 players can cause any upset at any given time. But the Super Eagles, by now, you would think that they should have sealed qualification.
Definitely. Sometimes, you just feel like, this group of players, they're doing their best. But in this group, where you have Benin Republic, Sierra Leone, and Lesotho, I think with the quality the Super Eagles have, you're talking about Victor Osimhen, playing for Napoli. We're talking about Uwobi playing for Everton.
Then they are not doing their best.
We're talking about Iheanacho scoring week in, week out.
For Leicester City.
You have a lot of quality players. But I just think, indeed, I just think the coach is not managing the team very well in terms of putting the right players at the right time. He tried to please everybody. And when you have a lot of star players, attacking players in the team that are doing very well, you cannot just play all of them. Because what's happening with Nigeria? Remember the game against Sierra Leone? They were leading 3-0. All of a sudden, Sierra Leone came back, the game ended 4-4, and everybody was like surprised. You cannot do that. First of all, you need to defend first. If you score, you have something to defend. But most of the players don't want to defend, but you can't blame them. The coach is putting a lot of attacking players. Indeed, he's the only one on the table. They are the only defensive midfielder that do a lot of dirty job. Well, I mean, a lot of dirty job in terms of protecting the front lines, the front three. But as a player, you need to come back. But playing against Benin, this is a shootout. You have Benin Republic that have 7 points. Nigeria have 8 points. If Nigeria win this game, they're guaranteed to go to the AFCON with a game in hand, game spared, for them. But Sierra Leone will be thinking that, and Benin Republic will be thinking that, no, this is our opportunity because we are playing at home. If we can win this game, we are there, in AFCON. Sierra Leone, okay, playing Lesotho, you can call them the whipping boys. You understand? But until when you beat them, before you can say they are the whipping boys. But you expect Nigeria to beat Lesotho at home. But the big game is against Benin Republic. Don't forget they are our neighbors. It's always a rivalry in terms of playing Benin Republic. They are very good side. You never write them out. So for me, I just think Nigerian players should go there with determination. They should go there with confidence, but not overconfident, because the quality in Nigerian squad is more far from the Benin Republic. But 90 minutes will always determine who is stronger, because if you win your game, that's when you say you are stronger. And I hope and I pray this Nigerian team can go and win this game in Benin Republic.
Timothy, is it only going to depend on that prayer for the Super Eagles to beat Benin? Any chance of an upset where Benin could actually beat the Super Eagles, who have swum all the way from Lagos to go to Benin?
I'm telling you, this is how serious the Super Eagles have seen this game to be. They have decided to warm up before the game by canoeing to Benin.
No, Timothy, not canoe.
Going by boat, by canoeing, so that the players' muscles are all warmed up.
No, it's not far. Mr. Lasto, it's just about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You just know, just some sightseeing when you're going to Benin Republic.
That's how you decided. That's how you decided to warm up and get ready for this for this encounter. It's very interesting. But if you look at head to head, Nigeria has played 7 times against Benin.
Yeah.
And Nigeria has got the upper hand with 6 wins against 1 against Benin. But this is a Benin team that fancies their chances of gauging themselves against their neighbors. You remember, there's
a rivalry.
Yes, there's a rivalry there, and it's captivating to try and get one against this Nigerian team. Having come by boat, I can assure you that is motivation enough to try and test them whether they still have the energy to compete.
I think this should be one of the matches of the weekend.
Yeah.
Looking at these two neighbors really getting at each other's throats. And I can tell you, there can be possible an upset, because Benin getting that point in Lagos, I think just give them a little bit of that advantage. Nigeria has to be on top of their game if they have any hopes of coming with the 3 points. But I think their qualification still is intact. They should be easily able to finish either position 1 or position 2, with Sierra Leone and Lesotho unfortunately missing out. Again, these are the qualifiers that we're to bring to you. Yes, we should be able to just follow through with the results and see who actually makes it to AFCON 2021 being played next year in Cameroon. I hope you enjoyed the show.
Before you end,
before I close,
Africa never surprises, never ceases to surprise.
Yes, what is this?
And this is what is very interesting and eye-catching.
Yes.
The administrative blunder in Cameroon.
Okay.
Inviting a player from Bayern Munich and sending the email to the wrong club.
Oh my goodness, you can say that again. We will.
And the coach are choosing the Bayern Munich team of not responding and releasing the player.
They didn't need that player.
No, it doesn't matter.
Because they are hosting.
Etafia.
So they want to use the local based players.
It doesn't matter. What is wrong is wrong.
Yeah, it's
there's
true.
There's nothing to cover about.
No, it's mistake. It can happen.
There's no mistake.
The email,
it shouldn't happen. You cannot
lights,
send an
there was
email
not lights
to
that day.
Timothy when you are intending the email is sent for elastical poison. It shouldn't happen.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You know, I mean, that was. I mean, it was serious blunder from the Cameroon FA. I mean, they needed to apologize. You know, to the player. But I mean, you don't expect that. In this age now, I mean, we're talking about 2021. We still having those mistakes. I mean, what can you say?
And the coach,
Cameroon, they need to. I mean, whoever did that, I think he has a problem with that coach. And he has a problem with that player.
and these are our hosts, guys. They are going to host this tournament.
Yeah.
Oh, we hope there won't be any mistakes as far as hosting that competition is concerned.
Yeah.
But we want to thank you for tuning in, for listening, watching wherever you are as we've come to the end of the show. It was a marathon show, of course, because we had to go through all the groups. But let me just express my gratefulness to Timothy Batabaire, Greg Etafia, for being with me during the show, and for you. We can always wish you everything of the best until we meet again for another session of our podcast here on Friday.